Welcome to my video log that I have called My Journey into Darkness. Today is day 2 of my immersion project of immersing myself in centering prayer or darkness meditation 3 hours a day. And today it was split up into 4 sessions, 2 sessions of 1 hour and 1 session that became 40 minutes and another became 20 minutes because again, in doing it at home and doing it as part of kind of normal life, it also means that of course there are the different kind of interruptions and things that goes on. And that was definitely one of the themes for me today. Being at home, my dog was kind of disturbing me several times, but not just that, a lot of it was also just different things tried to grab my attention. It was dreams and it was hopes and desires and very practical things and things I needed to book and appointments I needed to think about and all this. And it just very quickly tried to grab my attention. And one of the key things in darkness meditation or centering prayer is the whole thing of using a sacred word. The idea of the sacred word is to move us from attention to intention. That instead of having to put our attention on our breathing or on a specific word or on a phrase or something, it is the whole thing of something that brings us back to the intention that this is a time I want to spend with God. And I want to do that in creative silence. Some would suggest that the sacred word should be a religious word. It could be Jesus, Shalom, Shepherd, Holy Spirit, Trinity, Holy Mary. But others suggest that the sacred word can be something else. And I've been through a number of different words I have tried to use for a period of time just to see if that was kind of right for size. And the first ones did not really work for me, but the one that has worked for me for quite some time is the word pause. And it helps me to just, in my life, to think that when I enter into darkness meditation is to press pause. It's time to pause my thinking, my judgments, my strategies, my discernment. We're just pressing pause. We're not saying that this is how I'm going to live all the time, but what I'm saying is for this period of time, I'm going to press pause, so that I can enter into creative silence with God. So whenever something grabs your attention, it can be thoughts that keeps on coming to you. It can be sounds you're listening to, emotions, other things that start to grab your attention. That is when you say your sacred word in your mind. You do not do it like a mantra, that every time you breathe out, you say the word in your mind, because that is still thinking. And that is still having something you pay attention to. The whole point here is a bit like an arrow that we shoot way through all these things that try to grab our attention to come back to the creative silence. Presence, that I am present with the divine presence. So do try a few different words until you find the right one. But for each time you sit, do use the same word all the way through, because otherwise you're thinking again. But the whole idea is that you find a word that helps you to relax and to help you to find intention and not attention. And this whole thing about creative silence is really important. A bit like when you are asleep at night. Actually, lots of things are very much alive when you are asleep. You're having your whole hormonal system being regulated, your muscles rebuilt. You have your whole dream periods where things are also happening in your mind and going through what happened through the day or what you're afraid of. Your mind is very active even when you are asleep. And it's a little bit the same in this creative silence during darkness meditation, that even though you're trying to quiet down all these different stimuli, including your thinking, you're trying just to be so that on a deep, deep level that God is able to touch you and you're able more and more to recognize that God is already there. He is in you. I'd like to read just a couple of verses from 1 Kings chapter 19. he said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there is a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire a sound of sheer silence. So God met Elijah in the silence. We often look for the big, the incredible, the spectacular, and expect that God will be in all the big stuff. But what we're seeing here is that God meets Elijah in his creative silence. That sometimes when we use light meditation, we actually put the light on a lot of things, and the spotlight comes on things, and actually we almost see things too intensively. A bit like when we get annoyed with people because of a sentence they've said or something that happened to us, and we keep on going around that sentence or what was going on again and again and again, and we start to defend ourselves. We kind of put so much light on it that actually it hinders us and it divides us. What we want to do with darkness meditation is to unify us. So there's a richness in the silence. It is the fullness of time, where God is able to do something and we're able to recognize it because we calm down and we pay intention. We will go for attention to intention, and intentionally we have peace with God. And I'll just finish my little reflection from today with a verse from Book of Revelations, chapter 8. And when the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven, lasting about half an hour. And we see that when they come with the prayers of the saints, there is peace, because sometimes the deepest conversation happens without word. And without words, we can sometimes say something so deep that both our emotions, our body, our alternative consciousness can grapple with something and suddenly know something that we cannot think about with our logic mind. So the sacred word will help us to move from all the things that try to grab our attention to the intention of staying with God in his creative silence. Thank you for listening.